sports production segment project on college sports for the Panthers. For a little bit of brief history, in August 3rd, 1852, the first intercollegiate athletic event was held, and it was a crew match between Harvard and Yale. Now, a little fun fact, that race was held in New Hampshire because it was sponsored by the Boston Concord and Montreal Railroad Company, and the company wanted everyone traveling to the race to ride their train. Now, the initial sports contests in the 1800s were all student-run and organized, but as the crowds began to draw, games intensified, rivalries developed, students decided to seek outside help in coaches to help build their teams. And between 1852 and 1876, the sport of football really began to take off. So in 1876, the Intercollegiate Football Association is formed to set consistent eligibility and playing rules. And then in 1895, the Intercollegiate Conference of Faculty Representatives, which later would become the Big Ten Conference, is formed by faculty, by the college faculty to create eligibility rules for the schools. And then 10 years later, in 1905, the Intercollegiate Athletic Association of the United States is formed by college presidents with the purpose of reforming the sport of football. And then 7 years later, the IAAUS becomes what is known today as the National Collegiate Athletic Association, or the NCAA. And then it was not until 1981, almost 71 or 69 years later, was the year in which the NCAA finally sponsored the championships for women's Division I sports, and it was also 9 years after the Title IX law was passed in the United States. Now, a little bit of organization for the NCAA and college sports. The NCAA is split into three divisions, Division I, Division II, Division III. In the Division I, for the sport of football, it is split into the FBS, which is the Football Bowl subdivision, and the FCS, which is the Football Championship subdivision. The FBS is the highest division in the schools of Alabama, Ohio State, OU, most of those big Division I schools. And both of those, though, they do supply athletic scholarships to its athletes, but to be considered a Division I college, you have to sponsor at least 7 sports for each gender. To be qualified for Division II, you must sponsor at least 10 sports total. There's no certain amount for each gender, but those schools do supply some athletic scholarships. In Division III, they do not supply athletic scholarships, and sports are all participation welcome. Aside from the NCAA, there are also 3 other well-known ones. There is the NAIA, which is the National Association for Intercollegiate Athletics. One well-known school in the area is Rio Grande University, which is about 45 minutes away from here. They're an NAIA school. The National Junior Colleges Athletic Association, and also the National Christian College Athletic Association. Now for a little bit of careers in the field of college sports. Aside from coaches and those positions, there's also inside the athletic department, athletic directors, ticket sales, all that. Now with a little bit of history on the athletic directors, they were always historically former athletes or retired football coaches. One well-known example of this is University of Nebraska, where legendary head coach Tom Osborne, when he retired in the mid-90s, he retired and became the school's athletic director, also in the University of Wisconsin with Barry Alvarez. But almost today, or in today's college sports, almost all athletic directors have some kind of background in business, sports business or regular business, because of the nature that the NCAA has become today. The University of Florida President Bernard Macon has a really good point. It says ADs today are more like a CEO of a corporation than just a guy who hires coaches. For a little bit of industry format, the NCAA is a nonprofit organization, and meaning that all their profits are just redistributed amongst their member universities to better their athletic programs. And just to give you a little idea how big the NCAA has become, they had a revenue of $913 million in 2013 and a nearly $61 million surplus, according to USA Today. And that's just the NCAA. The schools and universities are bringing in millions, billions of dollars. So the whole idea is a huge ordeal of today's society. And in 2014, the NCAA is set to bring in $1.2 billion alone from just the TV contracts with ESPN and CBS and Turner Sports for the college football playoff and the March Madness basketball tournament. Now, one challenging issue that has become recently is the issue with agents and amateurism. They've had a problem recently with players accepting benefits from agents and boosters, with cash, tattoos, etc. Some examples of that was Ohio State quarterback Troy Smith, Reggie Bush from USC, Cam Newton from Auburn, Johnny Manziel from Texas A&M. Basketball, players like Shabazz Muhammad and etc. All punished for accepting extra benefits for either themselves or their family. And aside from with the agents with benefits, many players are accepting benefits such as autographs of themselves, trying to make money off themselves because they feel that they deserve some of that money because of the millions and billions of dollars that schools are bringing in off of those athletes. One thing that has become a headlining topic in today's society is the idea of paying college athletes and the possible unionization of college athletes. Now, some former Northwestern football players formed the College Athletes Players Association, or CAPA, in hopes to form a union for those athletes. However, the Northwestern players did have a vote just this past week, and they voted against it for now. So that might take a little bit of a step back. But the idea of paying college athletes won't rest. Many of the players want a piece of what they believe is theirs because of the money that they are making for these schools. But aside from just paying athletes, all these problems arise of how do they keep their competitive balance. If schools like Ohio State are paying kids, but a school like OU can't afford to pay the kids what they are, how does that affect? But one other thing that could arise is how could it affect the professional leagues like NFL or the NBA? If a player like, let's say, the recent Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston, when next year the college athletes will have to be paid with maybe endorsement deals or whatever. He's making a few $1 million. Maybe he goes to the NFL after next season, gets drafted in the second round. He's making $800,000, $900,000, whatever the slot is for that. How is it going to affect the athletes? How do they feel about going to the NFL and making less than what they were just making at college? It's several years away, but it could make for an. Now, as a career implications for myself, I'm a journalism major here. I want to be a sports journalist, not a sports business guy. But college athletics could have a huge part in my career. Whether it be as I'm covering the NCAAs nationally, or covering a team, or working in the media relations department, whatever it may be. It could have great implications on my career, and I'm excited where it could take me. And that's my presentation on college athletics. Thanks.